Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney, but we're Epcot-centered.
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in our rankings and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when Winnie the Pooh ran for president.
This is episode 70, How Disney Parks Celebrate America.
Or, to be honest, if Winnie the Pooh was running, I would still vote for him.
Yeah, me too. So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian Adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 70 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And this is July 4th weekend.
It is.
Almost. This is the Monday before July 4th. And, hey, Disney celebrates America.
They do. They celebrate America every single day.
In ways you may not even realize. We started doing a little research on this and realized there's a lot of things that Disney does that celebrate America that might just kind of go, oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Well, Walt was a fan of America. He just was a very patriotic gentleman, and he loved to celebrate this great country that we live in, and he found ways to do that in the parks.
I mean, really, if you think about it, Main Street, all by itself, is a celebration of America. It's literally called Main Street, USA.
It is. Even, at other parks, they call it that.
Yeah, Disneyland Paris and Tokyo Disneyland both have Main Street, USA, and Hong Kong Disneyland.
I believe they do.
That's right. Shanghai does not.
No, not surprising.
But yeah, USA, go America. Yeah. That was Walt's kind of theme when he started designing the entrance to the park. Main Street itself is a kind of an idealistic look at the town he grew up in, Marceline, Missouri.
Not his hometown.
That's true.
He was actually born in Chicago.
Right.
A lot of people misunderstand that.
You don't believe us? Look it up. He's not actually from Missouri, except that he grew up there.
We'll still claim him.
Oh, yes. Very proud of our native son, Walter. Matter of fact, we'll be making a trip up to Marceline very shortly for a little tour of the Walt Disney Museum that's there. It's not the Family Museum. That's out in the Bay Area in California. But this is the Hometown Museum, I believe is what they call it, in the old train station, Marceline.
Yeah, where he used to actually sit out there. His uncle worked there, and he would sit out there and watch the trains come in.
I just think that's awesome.
So yeah, stay tuned for a future episode of Disney in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Main Street. It is based loosely on the Main Street in Marceline, Missouri. You can see little remnants of it as you walk down that street. We'll take pictures when we go. But you can see little touches of it in the lamplight and in the street signs and the store windows. It's just sort of an idealized version of small town USA.
Yeah, some of the things that you'll hear, especially around July 4th on Main Street, the Dapper Dans are going to start doing a lot more patriotic music.
Also the piano player.
Oh, yeah, Casey's Corner or Coke Corner if we're talking about Disneyland.
Typically, they will play ragtime or Disney tunes. They also take requests, of course. Well, Dapper Dans do not take requests. This is just the piano player. But around this time of year, they do start playing a little more Americana.
A lot of just flags and bunting around this time of year, too. And, of course, the nightly fireworks show at Magic Kingdom becomes a lot more patriotic around July 4th.
They do. They do a whole fireworks show just for the 4th, a whole different one. And interesting note about the flags and the bunting and the banners. Those are there all the time. Those are always part of Main Street USA. But there is only one real flag that you will find at Disneyland. The purpose being that if you have a real American flag, you need to take care of it properly. It doesn't go out in the rain. It doesn't stay up at night unless there's a proper light on it. There's all kinds of rules and regulations, all of which Disney adheres to. So all of the ones decorating the length of the street are either missing a stripe, or they have an extra star, or all these kinds of weird things so that they are not official U.S. flags. But there is one U.S. flag.
That's the one at Town Square, at Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. And, of course, the other Disney's Land have their own flags. I don't know. That's a good question. We were just talking about these flags, I don't know if the ones in Paris or Tokyo are U.S. flags.
That is an excellent question. We've been to these other parks. I've always assumed that it's a U.S. flag because it's
Main Street
USA, but I've never actually looked.
That's really weird. Folks,
or
if you've been...
Maybe there's not a flagpole at all.
Well, that could be, yeah. If you've been, let us know down in the comments, though, because I'm now curious.
And we have been, and we've never paid attention.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up when we're done here today.
Absolutely. But I would bet they don't have one at all, so that they just don't run into that issue.
One thing I just remembered is Disneyland Paris in Town Square does not have a flagpole. They have a gazebo. It's the only of the main streets that actually has something different than the flagpoles.
Interesting.
Just remembered that. So at least Tokyo, we have to look up now.
Yes.
One of the things that has happened since opening day at Magic Kingdom, and I think probably since opening day at Disneyland as well, is the flag retreat ceremony that they do every day, where they come out with the security hosts and do a very proper flag retreat every day at dusk. And they will ask a member of the service, any of the services that are represented in the park that day, to be part of the ceremony. Our father was a vet and would have been very proud to have been part of one of those ceremonies.
It's so cool. It's one of those little known things. They do it literally every day near the train station, like Rod said, outside City Hall, where the big flag is. And it's every day at dusk. And it is a gorgeous ceremony. It is it's very moving. And it's just really cool. And they fold it properly. They take it down properly, follow all those rules and regulations, and store it away for the night to put it back up again in the morning. Some other things that make Main Street just a little slice of Americana that filled Walt's vision of that is just the Main Street vehicles going up and down the street, the horseless carriage, the double-decker bus, all those little things. The penny arcade, the ice cream shop, Casey's Corner, where you can get a hot dog, like all these things that were just, again, part of that idealized version of a small town.
And after the 1964 World's Fair, Walt brought in Lincoln and put him into an attraction at Main Street at Disneyland called Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It opened in July of 1965, actually a day after the birthday, after the 10th anniversary of the park.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me that the park was ever that young. Yeah, on July 18th, 1965, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln opened at Disneyland. And that has been part of the Disneyland culture and the Americana of Disney ever since.
And he's still there. We've mentioned this before, but it was a brand new type of audio animatronic that he had invented for this. And people thought he was so lifelike and so real that when he debuted at the 1964-65 World's Fair, people actually would jeer or throw things at him to try to get him to flinch because they really thought it was a human trying to act like a robot rather than a robot trying to act like a human, which I just think is just fascinating.
In the late 60s and early 70s, Disney had planned to build an area called Edison Square that was going to be back behind what it would be now the east side of Main Street at Disneyland. And it was going to include even more Americana. But it never got built. That's actually back where the kind of the cast member secret areas are behind there in Space Mountain.
We're not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about Bruna, and we don't talk about backstage.
It doesn't exist. Well, while we're talking about lands at Disney that represent America, how about we move to the Magic Kingdom and Liberty Square?
Yeah, Liberty Square is about as Americana as you can get. You know, everybody celebrates a haunted mansion during July 4th weekend. Well, okay, so maybe that part. But,
no, that's accurate.
But after Lincoln, Disney wanted to be even more grander in scale. And when I say Disney, I am talking about Walt, because his idea for Hall of Presidents did come out of his love of America, his love for the animatronics, really, that had really blossomed because of Lincoln and the Tiki Room, but Lincoln especially, and wanted to do an entire show based on the American presidency. And so today we have Hall of Presidents.
Which is a great place to go take a nap in the air conditioning room.
It really is. One thing we were just talking about, Sue and I were talking about this just yesterday. Whoever wins this year, they don't have to create a new animatronic. They're both already in there.
Yeah, this is the first time. See, with the Hall of Presidents, they always create two animatronics when the front runners are announced. So regardless of who is going to win, whoever the loser was, there's a face of him somewhere or her. There's
probably
a face
in the
of
Disney
them
archives.
somewhere. Yeah. Because they go above and beyond and try to beat the rush by getting it prepped and getting it ready so that when the new president is installed, they can put out the new animatronic right away.
Kind of like when they do the winning shirts for both sides of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, with this one, they aren't going to have to do that because both of the presidents who are the front runners, unbelievably, are both already in the Hall of Presidents.
I think that's, the very first time that's ever happened.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
One of the things that Liberty Square does well is it tries to give thematically an idea of what it was like back in those times. And parts of that theming is carried a little bit to the extreme, in my opinion.
We've discussed this before, but let's talk about it again.
Yeah, there are no restrooms in Liberty Square.
It's a small enough land that most people don't notice that, because there's some right outside if you go over to Fantasyland, there's some right outside if you go over to Adventureland, but there's actually no restrooms in Liberty Square.
However, if you look in the middle of the roadway, you're going to notice a big brown path.
River, if you will.
River of excrement, I think is... it's literally Poop River. So Winnie the Poop is right there.
Oh, bother.
Yeah. It's kind of an odd little feature of Liberty Square, but that is what that is meant to represent.
When people didn't have indoor plumbing, people didn't have a lot of plumbing options at all, they would collect it overnight and dump it in the middle of the street. So there you go. Historically accurate for you at Disney parks.
Yay, America!
Hooray!
Well, okay. It wasn't just America. That was kind of the world at the time. But one other thing you might notice in Liberty Square is the Liberty Bell. Believe it or not, though, the Liberty Bell was not always the name of the paddle wheeler. It started off as two different boats. There was the Admiral Joe Fowler and the Richard F. Irvine when the park opened in 1971, because at Disneyland, the Mark Twain was so popular that they built the Columbia. So they had two boats at Disneyland, so they built two boats at the Magic Kingdom.
Now, we did do a little research. These are not American hero names. These aren't colonial names, you should know.
That's a very good point.
Joe Fowler was a construction supervisor, and Richard F. Irvine was a WED executive. So Walter Elias Disney became Imagineering. WDI. He was one of the execs over there. So the boats were named after these two gentlemen. But in 1996, they had an issue in the early 80s with one of the boats. So they ran one boat, they were having some issues, they kind of combined the two with bits and pieces, and in 1996 it became the Liberty Bell, which is there now.
And when you say they had an issue, they literally dropped one of the boats when trying to get it out of dry dock.
I mean, I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, we don't want to point fingers, but that's the reason there's only one riverboat today. And they renamed it the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do too.
Also in Liberty Square is the Liberty Tree. Now, the Liberty Tree is not real tree from Boston, like the one there, because the Boston tree that is the Liberty Tree from 1765, it was an elm tree in Boston. It was a rallying point for a lot of the patriots in Boston at the time, leading up to the Revolutionary War.
It was the early colonists who needed a place to gather and meet and share their ideas and their displeasure with the current situation. So that was where they met, and that is replicated with the Liberty Tree now in Liberty Square.
Yeah, it's a 100-year-old oak that was found on the Walt Disney World property during construction and was put in place. So it's actually not even the same kind of tree, but I love the feeling behind it.
And it's a beautiful tree. I think you said too that you found in the research that a younger tree was grafted into it to give it more support.
That is true.
So that was pretty cool. The horticulture department over there is incredible. But they also, you will find with the Liberty Tree, the 13 lanterns that are lit up at night that hang from the tree branches, and that is representing those first 13 colonies. So you can go and check it out and see if you can name all 13 colonies.
Good luck with that one.
I could do it.
I can usually get around 10, and then I just completely blank. I don't know why. Well, in 2016 in Liberty Square, the Muppets took over for a short time.
They tend to do that.
They do. Yes, from 2016 to 2020, you could see a show outside, really in the facade of Hall of Presidents and the building next door, called Muppets Present Great Moments in American History.
It was like a musical show because Muppets, about 10-15 minutes long. There were two different versions. One celebrated the Declaration of Independence. One was the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. In the Declaration of Independence one, there was also a human character who was the town crier. And in the other
JJ.
one... JJ. And then the other one was all Muppets. They were both super fun, super quick, but very Muppety, very humor forward, but still teaching you about these events in American history, which I just thought was fun.
Poor Sam Eagle couldn't catch a break. He was trying to give a representation of real history, and everybody else just couldn't take it seriously, which is perfect for Disney.
Perfect for the Muppets, and we adore Sam Eagle. So, poor guy, we just love him.
Speaking of Sam Eagle, over to Hollywood Studios and Disney California Adventure back in the old days, you had Muppets 3D. And Sam had a glorious presentation, but didn't actually get to carry it off.
Are you about ready?
Yes, it's a glorious 3-hour finale.
You got a minute and a half.
Yeah, minute and a half is not going to be enough time.
He'll make it work somehow. So that is a really fun little Americana moment at the end of Muppet Vision 3D, where you just sort of get a little glimpse of what Sam Eagle had in mind to celebrate America.
It's called A Salute to All Nations, but mostly America.
Great.
I love that.
I love it that during the Liberty Square Muppet show, too, during their song, they sing something about how it's great moments from history, but only the American parts. I just think it's so funny.
Oh my, yeah. Well, we still are kind of upstarts in the world, I guess. So,
we really are.
There you go.
So the Muppets also have their own presence over in Epcot now, too. They have taken over the restaurant at the American Adventure Pavilion, which is the Regal Eagle Smokehouse.
Barbecue at its best. A salute to all barbecues, but mostly brisket. I don't know. That's what I would have said.
A salute to all food, but mostly barbecue?
Yeah, there we go. That's even better. I think that's actually on a poster inside
it
there.
Probably
yeah,
is.
Sam Eagle.
But that is another fun little nod to American Muppet theming, which seems to just go naturally together, probably mostly because of Sam. But, I mean, Kermit's all-American frog.
And then, of course, one of the largest displays of Americana is the American Adventure at Epcot. It is a nearly 20-minute show with 35 animatronics. Just an amazing show, just from a technical standpoint. It is a great place to go and get out of the summer heat as well in Epcot. But if you can take the time and not fall asleep and see the show, it is a great salute to America, watching from the Mayflower all the way through modern times.
Yes, and it is hosted by Ben Franklin and Mark Twain, which is just a really fun pairing, both wordsmiths in their own right, and just a really cool glimpse. Again, very idealized, very Disneyfied, but a really touching way to experience American history. And while we're in the American Adventure Pavilion, we talk about these guys a lot, but I'm going to do it again because it's one of my very favorite ways that Disney celebrates America. And that is with the Voices of Liberty.
Oh, they're amazing.
They're so good, you guys. If you haven't taken the time to look them up yet, please do yourself a favor and do it this weekend. And celebrate all that gorgeous American music and those American standards. They are so good. It's a a cappella choir that sings in the rotunda of the building. So amazing acoustics and absolutely incredible. If you can find older videos, they did a lot of early America songs. Now it's a lot of Disney songs, stuff from Broadway, stuff from... they still do some standards as well. But some of that early stuff, oh, so good.
And during July 4th, they tend to do a lot more patriotic music.
Very true, yes.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing over the years was the grand finale of the old Main Street Electric Parade. The big flag.
Oh, the big
that thing
eagle.
Was huge.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite things to do. And here's a little backstage trivia. When we would work at Fantasmic or do parade guest control, the guest control lead for Main Street would call Fantasmic the Eagle has landed, which meant that the Eagle had passed the hub, and you were about to get a whole bunch of people headed towards the second show of Fantasmic in Frontierland.
That's too funny.
I still love that.
But that was a beautiful float. And yeah, that flag that furled out all along the finale, and it's said to honor America, I believe.
That is correct. It
Were
did.
the words on it. So, so cool. And more to the present day of how Disney still celebrates America. Most of these things are still going on a daily basis because Disney history is American history, as I like to say. And you know what? I always say that to my boss, who celebrates America all the time as well as a veteran. And one of the things that I have pointed out to him on a number of occasions, American history did take place on Disney property. And we've mentioned this before at the Contemporary Resort.
That would be the I Am Not a Crook speech.
Yes.
By our then president.
Richard M. Nixon.
Right. So a lot of people don't realize that actually happened right there in one of the ballrooms at the Contemporary.
On Disney property. How bizarre is that?
Yeah, American history is Disney history.
Is Disney history. But all of these things still go on a daily basis. Disney always celebrates America. You can also find, this time of year, you'll find seasonal treats that are all red, white, and blue. You can dye your face several different colors by eating all these treats. There's
lots of food coloring, yes.
Yes. Special USA merchandise and anything that you can think of, ears that have the flag on it, and sweatshirts that say USA, and, all the things. Disney is always sort of very, very proud of the Americanness that they are. And I think Mickey Mouse is a great representative of our country.
I agree.
I will proudly say that.
Before we go, we'd like to give a big thank you to our family and friends for their help and support. Our theme music composer is Jason Patrick Rowan, whose music is licensed through Pond 5. And of course, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to rate, review, like, and subscribe. It really does help other people find us. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production and a proud gold member of D23.
Thanks for joining us today for episode 70 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye.
The Liberty Bell, that is the name of the paddle wheeler at the Magic Kingdom.
Start over. You're going to not be happy with that.
No.
That is the name of the... Now you're becoming Mr. Lincoln.
Oh.